See this so-called unicorn and the cult object in front of it, and the Vyaghra and the feeding trough kind of object in front of it. Does anybody know a ritual? Because Marshall is also saying that this is showing some ritual, which explains this correlation. So far, no one has claimed anything. Vedas describe a ritual which correctly explains this, and it is called Ashwamedha. So-called unicorn is a profile view of Urus bull. You can compare it with the Urus on walls of Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar. Look at its tail, genital, front sloping horn, and a single earlobe. Because this Urus on the Babylon was a real animal, and he is also with the single earlobe. So unicorn was not a mythological figure. Using this opportunity to present this monograph named Reclaiming the Lost Heritage, the Vinashana of Saraswati. It's an illustrated monograph containing few original discoveries in the field of ancient history of Vedic people, their rituals and texts. We will start with the geography of world known to Vedics. Bhujju's challenge to Yajnavalkya, and its answer is a challenge to us. In Drugved, Prathama Mandala 116 Sukta has an anecdote of Bhujju, son of Tugra. He is said to have gone on a sea expedition to another continent to fight an enemy. This tells us that family of Bhujju is of some king rishis who are familiar with sea journeys beyond Sindhu Samudra. Now see the passage in Shatpatha Brahmana where Bhujju, son of Lahyayana, challenges Yajnavalkya about the geography of known world. And Yajnavalkya defends by stating that Dvatrimshatam vai devarathanyani ayam lokaha dvihi tavat prithvi paryeti tam prithvim dvihi tavat samudra paryeti. Now, but this becomes a challenge because we are unawares of the distance unit. How much is Devarathanya? Here Shankaracharya's definition helps us. Distance travelled by a sun as a Devaratha in a day is called Devarathanya. We have to augment the definition by adding that height of observation is to be taken as the height of a Yajamana. Result, the line of sight horizontal distance visible to a 5 foot 8 inches average human observer is Devarathanyam. By modern estimate, after applying corrections, this is 9.9 kilometers. Here, curvature of earth is being used to define a distance unit, and such a scientific unit used in Veda is astonishing. See the result of 9.9 Devarathanya on the map of India. If 32 Devarathanyani ayam lokaha, then that is around 300 kilometers, and that covers the Madhya Desha. And Dvihis tavat prithvi paryati, then 600 kilometers beyond is, it covers all the Janpadas. And he is stating that Dvis tavat samudra paryati. So if 1200 kilometers we reached from Dholavira to Oman. So the inference we are drawing is that Shatpatha Brahmana passage is seen to correctly show the geography of the world known to Vedic people. It also shows that Vedic geography includes the sea trade route seen in Harappan evidence, because in Oman the Harappan seals were found, and in Harappan civilizations the Sumerian seals, cylindrical seals were found. This helps us reinforce the observation that Vedic and Harappan are in the same place and time. The physical description of river Saraswati, this is another evidence. Saraswa Satra is a performable procedure and hence leaves no space or for fancy and gives very real picture of the river. In same Tandya Brahmana, there is a statement, Chatushchatvarimshada Ashvinani Vinashanat Plaksha Prasravanaha. Distance from Vinashan of Saraswati to Plaksha Prasravan is 44 Ashwins. And it states further is अष्टवै पूर्वेण पक्षसायन्ति तद्धि प्रति एका आप्येति दृशद्वती एव. If we are going 8 Ashwins upstream from Vinashana, on the southern bank, we will come across a river, Drushadvati. Isn't it like a road map? Now, but here again, because of we are unawares of the Ashwin, and this is another discovery. Prodhayan Shausruta 15.1, while describing Ashwamedha ritual ground, states that one Ashwin distance radius should be made plain and all the obstacles like trees be removed. Obviously, the distance cannot be very large. Prodhayan Shausruta 26.10 also states that Ashwin is equal to 2 yojanas. So, the context makes it clear that the Ashwamint was a free grazing horse like the Ashwamedha horse. This is not a human ridden horse which would be covering more than 40 kilometers at least in a day. Because scholars were thinking like this, and then it had caused the confusion about Ashwin till now. And then those statements, Chatushchatvari Vamshit Ashwinani, was not making any sense. Scholars will note that Gavyuti is a similar unit, which means the distance covered by cow in a day while grazing. Readers should note that there are Vedic passages which further illuminates the units Krosha, Gavyuti, Yojana in the context of Sadhyaskra. It's a Yajna. It is concluded in the monograph that Ashwina is 8.8 kilometers. And if we are taking this Ashwina 8.8 kilometers, then the distance 8 Ashwin from Vinashan to Drushadvati Sangam comes to 70.4 kilometers. And from Drushadvati Sangam to Plaksha Prasravan is 36 Ashwin, 316.8 kilometers. We plot these on the satellite image of the region with the Drushadvati Sangam as the pivot. See, with this blue line the Saraswati flow, and this is the Drushadvati flow, and this is the Sangam area. And if we plot 70.4 kilometers, look at the bifurcation we are reaching. The upper one is known as the Hakra branch. We are calling it a Vedic Parisarakam, where Kalush Ailush Akhyan is there. And because of the depression that caused drying of the river Saraswati, the lower one. And on this Saraswati Vinashan point, this is the bifurcation point we have identified as the Saraswati's Vinashan. It is in Anupgarh district, and the Barod site, Harappan Barod Mount, is there on the same point. Now, let us see from Sangam to Prachisthali. We have 288 kilometers we will be requiring to reach up to this point. Now we are left with 28.8 kilometers only of that Chatushchatvarimshada Ashvinani. And when we were searching for the place for Plaksha Prasravana, we came across the village Phoksa in district Ambala, which we have identified as Vedic Plaksha Prasravana. The name appears to be the Apabhramsha of Plaksha, Phoksa. The village is at the requisite distance from Thanesar, 28.8 kilometers, and interestingly, it is seen to be the exact origin of a paleo channel, which is definitely of Saraswati stream flowing past Pipli as per the ISRO studies. This was an independent confirmation of our ground studies. We have done also a Padyatra on this from Vinashan to Plaksha Prasravan. A little description of Saraswa Satra, just to make you familiar with. Saraswa Satra is a unique ritual which is done with a moving ritual arena. It begins at Vinashana. At the end of the day, a stick called Shamya is thrown, and wherever this Shamya falls, this procedure is called Shamya Pras procedure. The whole arena, including fires, are moved to the next location. The daily movement would be around 66 meters per day, and the journey is upstreams on the southern bank of the river. It would take around 3 years to reach to Sangam. I am showing you this video just to give you an idea about it. It's not. See, they are showing a Shamya, and then whenever Shamya falls, they are moving Garyapatya Agni over there, and there are 3 Agnis, and all these Sado Mandap, Havirdhan Mandap, etc. All those mandaps are on wheels. Chakrivat hai wo. They are bigger than Jagannath Rathas, and around 100 people's group must be this, because there are 16 people who will be performing this. Som Yajna is done every day, and 16 Yajman, 16 their Patni, and the other Sevakas, etc. So must be around 100 people walking, and for it will take around 14 years for them to reach to Plaksha. After now, when they come from Drushadvati to Sangam, they cross the Drushadvati, and there they are saying that Drushadvati may have water or may not have water. So that is also comes a dateable kind of a description. Journey continues on the Saraswati. Another procedure they are asking us to do, that is 100 pregnant first timer cows are left to graze with a bull. If the herd multiplies to 1000 milking cows, the ritual terminates even before reaching the Plaksha. That Saraswa Satra would be called completed. Now, this may take around 12 years at the best for them to multiply to 1000, else it ends at Plaksha. These 2 conditions cannot be too different from each other. So this acts as a confirmation of our estimate, because Shamya Pras proceeds at the rate of 24 kilometers per year, and hence it would take around 14 years to reach to Plaksha. And when the Satra reaches Plaksha, then the ritual ends by donating everything and walking to Yamuna for the last bath. The place on Yamuna is called Karapachava, now identified with medieval Srugna or Sug. From there, the Yajmanas go to Himalayas. That justifies the Chalcolithic finds in the Yamuna valley near Purola. This lively description shows that Vedic rituals were in practice while Saraswati and Drushadvati both were perennial rivers. It is well accepted that this condition is ceased after 2000 BCE. It helps us conclude that all the Vedic texts, including the Brahmanical literature, were present before 2000 BCE. Agnyadhana, Chaturmasya, Samvatsara Satra Diksha are the context where almost all the Brahmanical texts provide the relationship between season and lunar months. This is datable evidence because the precession of axis of Earth is causing a systematic drift between season and lunar months. One sample is shown here. This is the sample from Tande Brahman Samvatsar Diksha Anuvak, where they are discussing when to start Yajna. And in discussing that, they are stating Ekashtaka is called Samvatsar, wife of Samvatsar. Magha Krishna Ashtami is called Ekashtaka. This night is singled out as the night on which Samvatsar stays with its Patni, that is away from our sight, implying that this was the longest night. This is further confirmed by saying that it is very cold and belongs to a Hemanta season, which is end of the previous year. It should be noted that this is a universal convention and not an isolated observation. Falgun Purnima is said to be mouth of new Samvatsar and Chaitra Purnima its eyes. It implies that winter solstice never crossed Falgun Purnima. And if Diksha is done on Falgun Purnima, then Vishuvan Namak Din. They are saying that on Vishuvan Divas, clouds should not be there in the sky. And this day will fall on 205th day, which will be a cloudy day because it is coming in Varsha Rutu. But if Diksha is done on Chaitra Purnima, then Vishuvan will skip Varsha Rutu. From the above, it can be concluded that in those times, winter solstice Uttarayanam was happening between Magha Shukla Dashami to Magha Shukla, Falgun Shukla Dashami. Uttarayan was happening around Magha Krishna Ashtami and at Pravachana times. By the same practice, it can be seen to be happening around Margashirsha Apara Paksha Ashtami at present. This gives us a shift of around 60 days then to now. And 16 to 72, according to precession clock, is 4320 BP is the epoch when these Vedic manuals were preached, the Pravachan Kal of or Vyasa Kal. Now, the question is, when 4320 BP, we are saying this, and it is the same time of the Harappan, mature Harappan, then what is the relation between these two? The connecting evidence. See, this is, we could not understand decipher the language script, but see this so-called unicorn and the cult object in front of it, and the Vyaghra and the feeding trough kind of object in front of it. No one, see, whenever there is a unicorn bull, there is a cult object in front of it, without fail. And whenever there are these other animals, bison, rhino, buffalo, tiger, etc., there is a manger in front of them, as if they were faded. Now, this is the table. Unicorn bull along with cult object, 1200 seals found all over the Harappan sites, and other like bison, buffalo, rhino, tiger, etc., and the manger is found in front of them. It is just like a rule that wild animals are with the manger and the so-called unicorn is with the cult object. Does anybody know a ritual? Because Marshall is also saying that this is showing some ritual, which explains this correlation. So far, no one has claimed anything. Vedas describe a ritual which correctly explains this, and it is called Ashwamedha. Because in Ashwamedha, they are stating that Yupeshu Gramyan Pashun Nyunjanti Arokeshu Aranyan Dharayanti. Because Aranya पशुओं को धारण करना है यूपों के बीच में, और यूपों के ऊपर ग्राम्य पशुओं को रखना है. This signature of Ashwamedha is unmistakably visible in the rule of making seals followed all over the Harappan region. Wild animals in Ashwamedha. Use of wild animal is a unique feature of Ashwamedha. It includes bison, buffalo, rhino, tiger, and many more. And small insects like insects, flies, and crocodiles, fishes, they are also there in Ashwamedha. Wild animals are confined in the gaps between these 21 yupas till the ceremony of dedication to gods is over. These animals are released later. Note that they are not sacrificed like the animals on yupas. This is precisely the reason why such wild animals are shown with a feeding trough, because they have to be fed and kept for the whole year till the horse goes around for the wandering for the whole year and come back. So-called unicorn is a profile view of Urus bull. You can compare it with the Urus on walls of Babylon of Nebuchadnezzar. Look at its tail, genital, front sloping horn, and a single earlobe. Because this Urus on the Babylon was a real animal, and he is also with the single earlobe. So unicorn was not a mythological figure. Indian Urus is a Bos Namadicus, and Bos Namadicus has been identified in archaeological excavations at Susunia Mochpal. In Gangetic Plains as late as 1000 BCE was showing its presence. Indian subspecies Bos Namadicus was endemic to the entire region. Vedas prescribe 11 Gauvya animals, Prashunga, Avashrunga ityadi, in which Gaumruga is the last one, which is included in Gauvya Pashus. Vedas call Gaumruga as a Usra, which is the cognate of European word Urus. Gaumruga is described in Vedas as neither domestic nor wild, which correctly describes Urus. Gaumruga is neither bison, Gaur, or Gavaya, which we call Nilgai, because both of them are independently mentioned in the wild animals list of Ashwamedha. Most of the readers will be surprised to know that Gaumruga is sacrificed on the central yupa of Ashwamedha along with Ashwa. Further, it should be noted that Ashwa is covered by 12 other Paryanka animals. This explains why it is not shown, but rather its adjoining Gaumruga is used in the icon. We infer that so-called unicorn in the Vedic is the Vedic Gaumruga, which is the Indian Urus. Look at this cult object. We are saying that it is a Upachashal Swaru assembly. In this cult object, you can see that there is a stick-like structure in between those two upper and lower cup. Central Yupa of the Ashwamedha has 239 Swarus. So if 239 wooden pieces are put in between, so it will come like a flower-like structure. And this is the last evidence of Shishumar. Shishumar is a real Vedic amphibious carnivorous animal with 4 legs. It was dedicated to a sea god in Ashwamedha, just like the Shirush animal of Babylon. It is used to describe the polar constellation now easily identified as Draco. The tail star Alpha Draco is called Abhaya and is considered as the pole in Vedas and Puranas. The condition is best fitted between 2800 BCE to 2000 BCE. It started visibly making circular motion around the pole. This also allows us to determine the epoch of Veda Pravachana. So the conclusion of this Vinashana is the latest update of the Vedic Pravachana happened in the same period as that of the so-called mature Harappan culture, which we have identified as the Salva Sauvira Sindhu tribes. Salvas were rivals of Vedic Kuru Panchalas, who have been identified by us as the Hakra or Soti Siswal culture of the archaeologist. Dhanyavad.